everybody. Today we're going to go over how to reconcile your petty cash and then how to actually post it in Rent Manager. For the purpose of today's training, I've gone ahead and made up a few receipts. So as you can see on the screen, we've got a Walmart receipt dated December 1st, a Home Depot receipt December 15th, and an Office Max receipt dated December 17th. You always want to remember to keep your receipts for your petty cash fund as well as your actual cash in a safe at your property. The safe should be fire retardant and water retardant as well. If you don't have one for your property, go ahead and contact the Director of Office Services or your trainer, and they can help get that ordered for you. Again, your petty cash should always be kept in a safe to keep it safe. Another good idea is to keep the receipts actually separate from the cash itself as another protective measure for if your petty cash was stolen. In that case, you would still have the backup for what you had used so far and would only have to do that loss for the amount that you know that was stolen. The first thing that I like to do when I am reconciling my petty cash is to put my receipts in the order of the purchases that were made. You do that on an ongoing basis as you have receipts that come in, and just go ahead and put that in that order. But before I start doing my petty cash reconciliation, I like to have them by date. So you see, I have the Walmart 12/1, 12/15, and 12/17, and then I would purchase them. So them all organized in front of me. Always keep them in the same place so you're not scattering around looking for receipts when it's time to reconcile your petty cash, and so that you don't accidentally misplace them. Everyone should have a petty cash reconciliation worksheet. If you don't, email your regional manager or your trainer, and they'll be happy to give you one. But it'll look like this. It'll have for your property name, whatever today's date is, this payable to, and that's your petty cash custodian's name, usually the property manager. How much the total balance for your fund should be, and a place to list out all of your receipts, and this is kind of formulas from the tabs. Your tab is a cash on hand tab, and this is where you actually input the amount of money that you have in your petty cash fund at the time that you're doing the reconciliation. So we're here, and I'm going to say for the purpose of training that this is for sample apartments. The record date is today's date, and today is 12/20/2012. This payable to, I believe, my example petty cash custodian is Sarah Smith. Petty cash custodian after their name. And for our intents purposes, we'll pretend that our fake fund balance today is $500. You'll notice this now fills in the property name here on hand, and you need to just put that date in for request date. Back to reconciliation, this is where I'm going to list out all the receipts that I have. So my first one, I'm going to try and split my screen here so we can see two things at once. My first one here is Walmart for 1/20/12. My third, Walmart. And you always want to make sure that you're getting your total amount. You don't want to put the subtotal amount and then miss your sales tax because you spent your total amount. So it's $40.13. You enter your account number. You're going to figure out what you spent the most money on in that receipt and go to that account Rent Manager. You can line item each individual item on your receipt if you choose to do so. What to do is figure out which is the most. In this case, it's probably marketing because creamer, coffee, cookies, key, that's probably alternate retention supplies. Or refreshments for your prospects coming in, and then we just have this $5 charge for printer paper. But to find that account number, you're going to find that on your chart of accounts, which you may have that printed out. Or you're going to go to Reports, generate your chart of accounts, go and create report, and it'll pull up usually a 4 or 5 page report on your chart of accounts. And you're not going to use pretty much anything on this first page. I'm going to look through in here to about repairs and maintenance. It's probably the first part that you're going to start using in the 5,000 account codes. We're looking for marketing expense. This particular chart of accounts has a lot of options. We have supplies, brochures, newsletters, blah, blah, blah. Some of our accounts don't separate them out to be this specific, but you want to make sure that you're trying to pick the most appropriate charge code. In this case, I probably call this just marketing supplies, 5401. So I'm going to put here. Here in description, I've got coffee, supplies, cookies, candy for refreshments, and printer paper. Pretty big. And then I'm going to move on to my next receipt, which is the Home Depot receipt. So let's see if I can move this. I can see everything I need. Receipt number 2, date order. It was on 12/15/12. This was to Home Depot. My total here was $619.53. If I look at what I bought, I got some nails, some locks, some keys, some drywall, some Loctite. But it looks like most of my money was spent on plumbing stuff. A toss around, a faucet, garbage disposal, sump pump. So I'm going to probably code this to plumbing supplies. So I'll go back into Rep Manager and see if I can find the plumbing supplies. It's going to be under your repair maintenance. So maintenance, here we go, plumbing, 510. So that's the number that I'm going to put here. 510. Again, I'm going to see out what I got. This was unit-specific charges. I'd probably put in the unit number as well. For example, if somebody was going to get turn supplies for one specific unit that they were turning, I would put that apartment number in there. In this case, this is just for general supplies needed for projects. I'm just going to list out what I've got. Nails, locks, keys, drywall, lobby, tub down, disposals, and sump pump. And then it's going to keep following along until I fill out all the information for all my receipts. The next one is Office Max on 12/17. Let's move this around a little bit here so we can see. 12/17/12. Office Max. The amount $29.96. And this is all office supplies. Staples, mounting strips, paper clips, binder clips, pens, all office supplies. So that's the account number that I'm going to look for back in Rep Manager on my chart of accounts. Or print it out. It might be in front of you. Administrative expenses. Here in that first one, 5801. Our office supplies. Now, for your property may be different than the ones that I'm using here because I am in my training server. So make sure that you are consulting the chart of accounts for your specific property. So these are all office supplies. I got staples, strips, paper clips, pens. Now got all of my receipts listed. They all listed in the order that they came in. I'm going to make sure that once I listed all my receipts that they get stapled in the order that they're listed as well, so that they stay nice and organized, and accounting or analysts don't have to flip through and try to match them up and make sure they're all there. You want to make sure it's nice and pretty and neat and organized. The next thing that you're going to do is your cash on hand and account how much money you have. And notice this column that says quantity. This you can go down and say exactly any of the numbers of the bills that you have. Just go to the bottom here. I'm going to, because I'm doing an example, I don't have this cash sitting in front of me. Then I $189.62 over. I need to go here and over. Start plugging in the number of bills that I have. So we'll say I have $5 bills. I have, oh, that's why I had an expense. The bill receipt was $619, which is more than my $500 fund. So we're going to change this to $1,000. Sorry. So back up. Now it says we're $310.38 under, which means that how much cash I should have on hand is $310.38. You do not just want to plug in numbers here to make your number equal $310.38. You physically need to count every dollar, every penny, every nickel, every dime, petty cash box to make sure that you are truthfully reconciling your petty cash every time. We'll say I have $60 bills, counting, and I have $8 bills. I have $25 bills. Oops. $18 bills. Sorry. And I have bills. I have $40 bills. Oops, sorry. $20 bills. There we go. And 13 pennies. And this gets me to my $310.38. Again, because I'm using an example, I'm just pulling my numbers out of the head to get it to match. But you need to physically be counting money every time that you do this. So now, this is telling everybody that I do have $310.38. By back on my reconciliation tab, $310.38. I have a total expenses of $689.62, which equals my cash fund balance of $1,000. Fund balance is $1,000. Everything adds up. So it might not add up. If you plug in your cash on hand and you say you only have 7/20s, so I'm $10. Should I change my tens? Yeah, tens. Yeah, then tens. I'm short $10. Maybe I'm missing a receipt. Maybe dollar bills stuck together and I didn't count them correctly. You need to do what you can to research that to figure out where you're missing your money. My bills were stuck together. I really did have 8. I have 3 here. I have $310.38 here. I have $689.62. They match my fund balance. I'm going to print 2 copies of this petty cash reconciliation report. I'm going to 2 copies of my cash on hand. I will one of each of these on top of all of those receipts that you have, and then I'm going to staple one of each of these together and file it away in my month-end folder so that I keep a copy on hand of what I'm sending to corporate. I also want to make copies of all my receipts so that I can keep a copy on hand. Did the FedEx package get misplaced? All of your receipts get lost. If you don't have copies of all your receipts, that could be a very not fun situation to be in. So I just like to make sure that I copy everything. But not done yet. Now I actually need to go into Rent Manager and post this in Manager. This is a cash reconciliation report, and we need to go into Rent Manager, and we need to go to Vendors and our Petty Cash Custodian. Oftentimes, property managers are going to have two vendors listed. They have one that's their Petty Cash Custodian. They don't have the one that's themselves. For example, if they purchase anything out of pocket, and mileage expenses are going to go to that vendor, anything like that. In this case, we need to make sure that we're on the Petty Cash Custodian. Go to her Transaction tab, or click Add. Just you are adding any other type of bill. Whatever property this is for, and if you have multiple properties, you probably have multiple petty cash funds. You need to make sure that you're doing separate petty cash. A, you're keeping your petty cash fund separate, and B, you're doing separate petty cash reconciliations so the checks can come out of the right account. We only have one property. It's our sample apartment. When Sarah Smith, the petty cash custodian. Invoice number is going to be whatever date doing your petty cash reconciliation. So today, 12/20. 2012. This would be the total amount of your receipt. So go back and you look. Your total expenses is $689.62 because this amount that you're asking to be refunded from the petty cash account. So $689.62 is the total amount. You go down here, and I usually just leave the bill date, post date, and due date all on the same date. Your amount is going to be 12/20/12 petty reconciliation. So and what it is, because this box is what is going to print out on the check that you receive for your petty cash. Nothing in the attachments box, and we're going to come down here, select what our first expense account was. And look back to our first receipt for Walmart. It's $54.01. $54.01, and I always start that out with the vendor name, Walmart, and I bought. So you put in that description line on your cash. Coffee supplies, cookie and candy. So I put coffee supplies, cookies, candy, paper. I need to put in my amount box exactly what that expense was, $4.13. So my item is going to be my next receipt. And what account was that? 710. It was to vendor, Home Depot, and I'm going to list out the things I got. Locks, keys, drywall, black tub surround faucet, blah, 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 blah. And I list that out. Nails, locks, keys, tubs, garbage disposal. Limit your characters as much as you can because there's a limited amount of space for this memo box. This is the information that shows up on your general ledger. And I want to put how much that we spent at April. It's $19.53. The next one is account code 51. Max. And got staples, paper clips, binder clips, and pens. So you need to make sure that this matches the amount on that receipt as well, $29.96. $20.96. Our total should now be the same, $689.62, $89.62. And when you're done, just save. Just like you plug in all your invoices in your batch to go to corporate in alphabetical order, you're going to file this one by Sarah's first name. They'll fall in your S's in your batch of bills, and that is how you submit your cash. Submit it when your payables are due to corporate. Usually they like for them to be done at least once a month, regardless of how much you use that month, and submit with your second payables period of the month. However, if you've had special extending circumstances and have gone through your petty cash more quickly by the time your first period runs around, by all means go ahead and submit with that first payables period. Just submit another one with your second to make sure you're on a good schedule again. So, if you have any questions, as always, you can contact your nearby phone, or you can reach me at hartman@forceability.com. Have a fantastic day.